Hey guys, Tomboy61, and today we're going to be going over all of the new Pan-European ships, how they play, the playstyle that I recommend you adopt with them because they are a little bit different, and just kind of going through the line and just kind of a quick overview review of these brand new ships. I was fortunate enough to be able to unlock all of them that are currently in game, so tiers 1 through 6, just waiting on the next update to get Ostergotland, and then we'll have the full complete set. But for now, let's go ahead and just talk about these ships. First, let's talk commander. My go-to commander for this has become Jerzy Swirsky. These boats do tend to be more gunboats than torp boats, and that will surprise you because you'll see the torp reload and be like, yeah, it's a fast torp reload. We could get down with them, but I would recommend not going into a full torp build with them, and we'll talk about that as we go through. So Jerzy Swirsky has been my go-to. The inspirations that I have been running are Rumble and Sims, because these ships are all about playing at their maximum range, that maximum third of range that they have. That's where they start to sing, and that's where they become the most fun. Other traits that I'm using: observant range, mortar, twist and track, or perceptive. Twist and track majority because these ships do tend to have a slow turret traverse, and that slow turret traverse can get you in trouble. Twist and track will help you carry that out. Cloudy days, because, well, they don't have a smoke screen, so there's no use in running smoke on the water. And unstoppable. So those are the skills that I've been running on pretty much all of these. If you don't have Rumble, I would recommend either Burke or Vine as replacements if you are going the free route. So what is the main deal with these ships? Well, they are meant to be played at range. They tend to have a high shells per minute for their tier. You should always be sort of running away in them. The torps that they have equipped, they are long range, high speed, but fairly low damage. Also, their firing arcs, they tend to have extremely narrow firing arcs, once again reinforcing the fact that you need to be playing these at range. They do not have smoke, but you will get heals and an engine boost. The heals come in at tier 4, and then you also get enhanced AA with these guys once you get into the upper tiers. The last thing about them, as just kind of a generalistic overview, is they tend to have a slow turret traverse. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and talk about the first ship, and that is the Gryf. Now, it is not a destroyer like all the other ships, because all tier 1s are cruisers, and let me tell you, the Gryf has become my new favorite seal clubber ship. It is just the most powerful tier 1, and I don't know why they decided to do that, but god is it fun to go out there. It has a particularly high rate of fire, and the guns are fairly accurate, and they only ranked our artillery as like a 1. I don't think they really thought about this. But Gryf, one of the highlights of the tier, just because of its ability to seal club. It'll take you a while to get a match in it, but it'll be fun. The next ship in the line is the Romulus, originally built as a torpedo boat for the Italians. Nothing really to write home about in the Romulus, and that'll be kind of a trend in these first couple of ships, just because, well, the early boats all tend to play somewhat similar. It's once you get into the 5 and 6, that's where things tend to get interesting. You got 3 guns on it, 120 millimeters, reload time of 6 seconds, firing range of 9.1 kilometers, 1700 damage per shell, 7% chance to set fire. Torpedoes, well, this one is weird because it has 1 2-barreled launcher and 1 4-barreled launcher, which is just a weird thing. You have 8-kilometer range on them, so you know your gun range is 9.1, your turret or your torpedo range is 8. Like, you are having torpedoes that are nearly as long range as your guns, so that kind of tells you you'll want to play at sort of a distance with these things. Concealment wise, because of us running mortar and stuff, we are not going to have the best concealment because we want to be seen in these boats. We want people to shoot at us, we want people to miss us, we want to be distracting. That's kind of the point. So we are concealment on Romulus 5.9 by sea, 2.9 by air. Next, onto the tier 3 is the Klas Horn. Oh, one other thing. you may notice the paint job on these boats. That's the new Pan-European unique camo that is up for like filler this update. God, it looks so good. God, I love it. I absolutely love the camo. Anyways, on to the tier 3, the Klas Horn. First time we get a mod slot on one of these boats, and I will tell you my go-to mod slot for these ships has been the turret traverse mod. I know usually you're running aiming system on a lot of these boats, but the turret traverse on these boats is so slow that turning the boat will outturn the turrets. And when you're essentially trying to play at long range and you're twisting the ship left and right, you want the ability to be able to turn the boat and still be able to fire. So main battery mod 2 has been my go-to, and that is also why I've been running twist and track, because it also boosts that turret traverse speed. So that's kind of my my announcement there. Now, Klas Horn begins the trend of the dual turrets. A lot of these boats do tend to have dual turrets. This one is the first dual turret up front. Then they have one singular turret mounted midship and one singular turret mounted aft, meaning Klas Horn not the best ship to try to run away in, but as far as the stats on those ships, or on those guns, 120 millimeter. Also, all of the firing arcs on these tend to be fairly flat, or at least flat compared to like the American boats. 9.6 kilometers range, 7.2 second reload, and this is where we start seeing fairly high reloads, but we tend to have a lot more barrels, or at least a good number of barrels compared to the competition at the tier. 7% chance to set fire. Torpedoes, you're looking at 8 kilometers once again. So Klas Horn, same guns, same torpedoes as the tier 2 Romulus. You just get one more barrel to deal just that little bit more damage. Concealment, 5.4 kilometers, so you do get a little bit better on the concealment. The tier 4 is where things start to heat up, and it's where the ships begin to have the dual stacked turrets in the back. This is a small trend that occurs with these ships. It really starts to reinforce the idea of, hey, you want the majority of your guns pointed at the enemy. They're off the rear. Have the rear of the ship pointed towards the enemy. Visby is also the first ship that receives the heal. Tier 4 destroyer with a heal. Now, the heals don't heal back a lot of damage, but they are definitely nice to have to give you that little bit of boost. We are also, as I said, running sims just to get more overall hit points into these boats, because you will be taking shots, especially because you don't have smoke to fall back on. As far as stats on the Visby goes, it does have two two-barreled 120 millimeter guns and one-barreled 120. Once again, with the majority of its firepower facing the rear. Firing range on those shells, 10.3 kilometers. Reload time, 7.2 seconds, as we saw with the Klas Horn. Same 1,700 hit points, 1,700 damage, and 7% chance to set fire. Torpedoes on the boat, we still have those 8-kilometer torps, and they're going to go about 65 knots. So fairly up there. Sadly, damage is still kind of low at only 6,200. The tier 5, the Vasteras, is where these ships start to kind of show what they are. Basically, it is the same layout as the Visby, except now both rear guns are dual turrets, and this is where you're like, well, literally 2/3 of my guns are pointed to the rear. We gotta point the rear of the ship. We want to bait people in, shoot at them, keep them at the edge of our range, use those long range torps to have someone chase us into the torps. That's why they are such a narrow spread on those torps. It allows you to lead people into your torps. 3 two-barreled 120 millimeter guns on the ship, 10.8 kilometer range, and it's the same 1,700 damage and the same 7% chance to set fire. Torpedoes do get an upgrade though on the Vasteras, the tier 5. That is a 10-kilometer range. So once again, your torpedo and your artillery range are nearly identical. So if you have a ship chasing you, you're in the game. It is absolutely strong. But I do want to say, you see these torpedo stats and you're like, well, okay, 10-kilometer range, a 59-second reload. Why not build for torps? And I just have to say, the damage just isn't there. 7,500 damage per torp, 2 3-barreled launchers, you're not doing enough damage. Like, there's literally one, I think I was in Vasteras today, and I was like, oh, perfect. There's this battleship on the other side of the island. I am going to YOLO rush him. I hit all my torps, and he still had a third of his health left. And I'm like, oh, okay, this was a bad idea. I don't have enough Alpha Strike to like, even justify getting close to these boats. I just don't. That's what you have to be aware of. You just don't have a ton of Alpha Strike potential in those torps. Those torps are meant to, like, boop someone on the nose, cause a flood. You know, or just take a little bit extra of the Alpha Strike. You are there to cause distraction, and that's kind of what Vasteras really starts to kind of bang into you, and you get what it's here for. And finally, the last ship that is playable right now for everyone is Skane or Skane. It is the tier 6, and this is where these ships really start to shine. So first off, you do get an extra consumable. Not only do you have the engine boost and the repair party, you do also get defensive AA, which means the anti-aircraft stats are serviceable. Basically, they're okay. They're pretty good for a destroyer, but with that enhanced AA, you get 2 charges to really mess up some squadrons, which is absolutely totally worth it. Survivability on Skane, 15,400. We'll also have a video of Skane all on its own. We'll definitely be covering that one. But for now, artillery of 2 2-barreled 120mm cannons with a 3.1 second reload time. So it is Daka time with these things, and that's exactly what they do. You do have a shell upgrade on this one. Instead of that 17,000 damage, you're looking at 18,070. Still have a 7% chance to set fire. You have an 11-kilometer range on these, which is nice, and a 12.7 kilometer or 12.7 second 180 time. Torpedoes, well, you have two 3-barreled 533 millimeters, kind of the same torps you had last time, but you do have an upgrade to the range and the speed. 12-kilometer range and a 76-knot torpedo. They are just so much fun to mess around with. The only downside, once again, is that Alpha Strike, only 7,533 Alpha Strike. Not the best. AA, like I said, 5-kilometer range, and you're looking at about 100 damage in total when you're up close to these boats. 100 damage per second when you're up close to these boats. Concealment, once again, we're not really built for concealment. 5.9 kilometer by sea, 3.2 by air, and 2.4 when you're firing at smoke. And that is Skane. The last boat in the line is Ostergotland. It looks like it's going to be a continuation of what Skane has been kind of showing us. There's nothing too much to call out right now without any upgrades on it. We're looking at like a 10-kilometer range on its main battery and torpedoes with 12 kilometers, but they do have an extra 3,000 Alpha Strike on them. So Ostergotland will be the final ship. I look forward to when this update is over. I'm already at 175,000 ship XP out of the 210 for Skane or Skane. I've been really enjoying that boat. It's a challenge, but it's absolutely fun. So to kind of wrap things up, these boats, they require a specific play style. They don't do well being up close with other enemy destroyers. They like to be sitting at range, and for that reason, I will say I think these are a little bit higher of a skill, of a kind of a skill gap. But once you get them down, they are tons of fun to play. I haven't been getting huge damage numbers. I've been consistently at the top of the team, but not bringing in the huge damage. These ships are all about distracting. They are all about getting within range of a couple of ships, lighting one of those ships up, getting as many ships as you can to shoot at you, and to avoid the damage that is incoming to you. That is what these ships do best, and that's kind of what you have to focus on when you are playing these ships. You are, I think Zarkun calls it evasion tanking. It is, you are getting people to shoot at you, and waste their shots and their potential damage shooting at you and hopefully missing while your team is engaging them. And that's kind of the whole point of these boats. And it's pretty fun. It feels slightly trolly, if I'm being honest. But yeah, guys, those are the new Pan-European destroyers. What do you think? Have you been enjoying them? What boats have you unlocked for yourself? Let me know down in the comments below. And guys, if you liked the video, go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.